mics are mute.
You can give me a thumbs up, Nikki, when we are going to start.
Yes, ma'am. We are live, ma'am. Over to you.
Make that one idea your life. Dream of it. Think of it. Live on that idea. Let the brain, the body, muscles, nerve, every part of your body be full of that idea. And just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success. And this is the way great spiritual giants are produced. Namaskar to Swami Shantatmananda ji, all the principals, teachers, parents, and students who have joined us this evening for an in-depth understanding of the need of the hour. This pandemic has been brutal to whole humankind. People have suffered irreparable loss, but life does not stop here. It goes on. The whole world is battling with the pandemic, and so are we. And the process has been long since the end of this dark tunnel, and the gloomy days are far from vicinity. Situations caused depression, loss of life in the numbers trawled, have left us shaken. Thunderbolts hit our psychological conditions, and emotional well-being has become the need of the hour. Yuva Sangharsh is an annual youth leadership contest held by the Vivekananda Institute of Human Excellence, a part of the Ramakrishna Mutt at Hyderabad. CBSE has reviewed the contents of the ACP and has welcomed its implementation in schools. And the ACP team has taken this initiative to help us be better each and every day. Various reasons, endless lists that cause depression. Yet we need to aim at something good that can help us sustain through these gloomy and over-darkened ways. Together, we have overcame many challenges previously. We will overcome this one too. The universal love and faith will heal this wound too. Let us all be encouraged and allowed to muster the strength and allow the desire to seek good with unflinching faith in the Creator and His creation prosper. The National Center for Emotional Wellness defines it as reference to an awareness, understanding, and acceptance of our feelings and our ability to manage effectively through challenges and change. This is a part of being emotionally well, including experiencing a range of human emotions. I, Mrs. Sunir Nagi, would like to welcome Swamiji, His Excellency, who will guide us and enlighten us to unbridle the path towards light of hope and new beginning. May I now invite Ms. Tanuja, Principal of Pallavi Model School, Boduppal branch, to kindly introduce Swamiji to the audience here.
Thank you so much, Simi. I deem it as my immense pleasure to introduce Revered Swamiji. Swami Shantatmananda, dispassion for the world and attraction for Swami Vivekananda's ideal of service to man is service to God, led to a working professional in his 20s to tread a new path. The youngster who joined the Ramakrishna order as a monastic later became Swami Shantatmananda after formal monastic vows. In his journey of nearly 45 years in the Ramakrishna order so far, he spent nearly 30 years at the international headquarters of the order, which is Belur Mutt in West Bengal. He was in charge of the audit department for more than 2 decades and brought about many important reforms. He was also instrumental in initiating major staff welfare schemes benefiting thousands of employees. His passion for service to the poor and marginalized led to his helping in the setting up of 2 voluntary organizations in West Bengal, namely Sharada Seva Sangha and the Sharada Kalyan, largely managed by trained women volunteers. These have turned out to become wonderful examples of women empowerment. When he assumed charge as the head of the Ramakrishna Mission Delhi nearly 15 years ago, new vistas opened before him. Dissemination of the spiritual messages of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Sri Sharada Devi, and Swami Vivekananda, as well as conducting scriptural classes, became one of the major focus areas. These and other lecture assignments have taken him all over the world. His passion for interfaith harmony inspired him to organize a world meet for peace and harmony in 2012, which was inaugurated by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The fact that Swami Vivekananda's ideas of man making and character building education have not penetrated our educational system compelled him to start a program to awaken children to their full potential through gentle nurturing and guidance. This nascent idea led to a full fledged Awakened Citizen program, which was launched in 2013-14 and is currently running in over 5,500 schools all over India. The program has already changed mindsets and touched the lives of 10 lakh children and 20,000 teachers. He's now working on developing programs for primary school children, parents, administrators, corporate executives, professionals, and others who are likely to benefit from the powerful and highly relevant contemporary ideas of Swami Vivekananda. He is in the process of setting up a separate institution, namely Vivekananda Institute of Values, for this purpose at Gurgaon in Haryana. He's been a member of some of the insightful committees set up by central government on education. Presently, he's a member of the Niti Ayog. Swami Shantatmananda has contributed a column on Hinduism for 8 years in the newspaper Sunday Guardian. He also writes occasionally for the Speaking Tree of Times of India. He has a deep love for music and he's deeply interested in sports. Swamiji, we are deeply honored to have you here, and all the participants who've joined today are looking forward for your valuable words. Welcome on behalf of all of us.
Om Namasri Etirajaya Vivekananda Swarai Satyasvarupaya Swami Prabhati Puneet Kaur Nati Bhargaji, all the teachers and others who are part of the webinar. Yet adversities do come in our lives, but human beings have the capacity to overcome them. In fact, they can even turn them into advantages. This COVID pandemic has been disastrous for the entire world. Every day we hear loss of lives, someone losing very dear and near, and so on and so forth. But this COVID pandemic also seen extraordinary exhibition of human qualities. Every now and then we hear how someone very poor spent everything that he had in the service of others. Simple roadside dabas, opening up the eatery for anyone coming in and so on. So, it has been a mixed bag, but it is true that a large number of people have been badly affected. But I would like to place before you a couple of important statistics. Do you know that simple flu, which requires only a paracetamol, takes away more than 3 lakhs lives every year? Have you ever thought of that? Tuberculosis alone kills around 5 lakhs people in India every year. Because it affects the poor and the marginalized segment of the society, many of us are not aware. And even if we see something in the newspaper, we just pass it over. Pandemic COVID-19 for the first time has erased the distinction between the rich and the poor. Millionaires as well as paupers both died. No one is spared. Some kind of a level playing field, as it were. So remember that we must think about what is happening in respect to the larger picture, where several lakhs of lives are lost every year. We should just think of that. That's why, Swami Vivekananda, it was not necessary for him to do social service at all. He was a dhyana siddha from birth. He could have spent his entire life immersed in meditation. That's what he wanted to do. But he was compelled to serve mankind by his own mentor, Sri Ramakrishna. After the first day of historic success at the World Parliament of Religions, when virtually the whole world was at his feet, he was shown the best of homes in America. He was the guest of someone very rich. They had given him a very comfortable bed, the type of which he had never seen or experienced in his life, but he could not sleep on it. He slept on the floor and wept the whole night, saying that in this country there is so much. People are wasting, throwing away. Back home in my country, people are dying for a morsel of food. My Lord, when will this situation improve? That was his agony. He came back to India in 1897, gave up his body just after 5 years. But in these 5+ years, he spent every minute of his time in the service of his country. There are so many people who are called, social activists and so on and so forth. But you must understand this from the point of view of a person who was from day one of his birth interested in dhyana and samadhi and so on. And for him to move about like a cyclonic monk and day and night addressing gathering. He writes somewhere, can you sleep? How can you sleep? When millions are dying of hunger and poverty, can you sleep? Please wake up. That was his call. So, yes, this pandemic has been very disastrous, no doubt. But you should also understand life in a larger picture, in a larger context, as the person, as our Negi has said, life goes on. Life does not stop. So, being the monastic head of an organization, not only during this pandemic, even at other times, every now and then we get visitors, someone coming to share with us the loss of someone very dear and near. Sometimes I struggle for words, how to convince them, how to tell them. They will say, how do you understand? You don't have a family. We have dear and near ones. So I proceed very cautiously, very carefully, trying to give them something which they would understand. But, in a matter of days, maybe 3 weeks, 1 month, virtually back to normal life. Someone lost the only son, in 1.5 months preparing very vigorously for the marriage of daughter. Not that they don't have grief, but by nature, Prakriti, we are all bound to carry on. It doesn't stop a minute for anyone. It would happen this way. So who is a really wise person? Because the external world is not going to change. However much we might wish, death is going to happen, birth is going to happen, and so on. Only those who are really that way intelligent, who can draw different conclusions, who can understand life in a different context, they alone are ultimately wise. They alone would lead a meaningful life. Otherwise, our lives would be lost just like this. Grieving, again something happens, something which is a happy nature or which is good. We are satisfied for some time. Again something happens. So, oscillating between sukha and dukkha, life goes on for eternity. But, in majority of our lives, the fact is, there's a far greater component of dukkha or misery. Every now and then we get a little lollipop of sukha, we forget everything till the next blow comes. So, should understand life differently. I'm not saying that we should not have good things, that we should not celebrate. Let us not mistake all that. Let there be no misunderstanding. But let there be a clear understanding and awareness of life itself. That's why one of the greatest personalities to have ever been born on this earth, Bhagwan Buddha, summarized life beautifully through his philosophy. Today, Buddhism is divided into so many schools and hair-splitting logic and unimaginable rituals and so on. But the original Buddhism had 4 basic tenets. In this world, there is dukkha or misery, which is undeniable. The reason for this misery or dukkha is trishna or tanha or desire. There is a way out of this misery, and the path is the Ashtanga Marga, which he proposed. So this is the reality. That's why in the Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Jatasahi dhruvam mrityihu, dhruvam janma mritasya cha, tasmat apariharyate natvam shochitam arhasi. For those who are born, death is certain. Those who die, again birth is certain. So when something that is inevitable, unavoidable, that we cannot wish away, it's not wise to completely grieve and sit totally broken and shattered and so on. Because, you see, are we going to do anything to completely put the situation back to the original shape? No, it's not going to happen. Then how do we approach life? What do we do? Why it is happening? Why these things affect us so badly? You see, the death per se is not that terrible. Only when you link it to someone, it takes a different shape. For example, I'm saying, supposing you're on extremely good friendly terms with your neighbor, there's a young person in that house, the son of the house, is 25 years old, is in a very big job, they have huge plans for his future and so on. And suddenly you get the news that he was okay, he was having a cup of tea. Suddenly he complained of something, in a matter of minutes he was gone. Of course, they are totally shattered. You go, you literally you weep, you are so much affected, you grieve for that person and so on. It's all done, maybe 1 or 2 hours you spend. That very night, there is a marriage of someone's daughter who is extremely close, equally close to you. Immediately you change the dress, everything, and go and attend that marriage also. Are you hypocritical? No. Your grieving for the loss of the neighbor's son is true, and you're going and participating in the wedding of the daughter of someone close to you. That's also true, valid. How did this happen? But supposing someone, even 70, 75, probably on similar times, people would have thought that it's better this person goes because there looks to be no hope of recovery, and lying in bed like this for eternity is not good. But still, if it happens, we break down completely. Why? A 25-year-old youth full of promise, looking forward to life so much, goes away. That grief we are able to wipe away in a matter of hours. A 75-year-old person, perhaps sick too for quite some time. If that person goes, that grief is unbearable. Why? That's because of our association. In one case, we think it is mine, my relative, my dear and near one, whereas the other person is, however much a friend's family, still they are strangers. See, this is reality. I'm not telling you any cock and bull story. This is reality. It happens. Why? Let's understand. The whole thing is because of our own limited understanding of ourselves. 99.99 to the power infinity, the mankind understands itself to be just a combination of body and mind. We never think beyond that. And from this idea of body and mind comes the idea of ahankara or I-ness, and that association, me and mine, is at the root of all that we suffer. Supposing you remove this me and mine, supposing we dissociate this I from whatever is happening, anything happening in front of us, there will be a general sense of understanding. Yes, this is good, this is bad, this is okay, this is not okay, this is tolerable, that much. The breaking down, the idea of getting shattered and so on, comes from the idea of association of me and mine, from the idea of ahankara, and that is rooted in this composite called body and mind. So, when we talk about the wellness of the mind, automatically the wellness of the body also comes, because together they exist as a composite block. Do they impact each other? Yes. Today, such a huge program, our resource persons have been working maybe for the last 3 weeks or so. So many of you, our Negi, Tanuja, all others, now they are doing it, they are telecasting it live on YouTube and so on and so forth. But still, do you think all those who are invited are there? No. Some people are there, some people have simply switched off their video and audio, they are muted, they are doing something else. Why? Because there is the mind first registers the idea, yes, this is a wonderful program, all of us should understand, we have been invited. When it conveys this to the body says, no, not necessary. After all, it will be recorded, we can listen later on. What is new? After all, he's going to speak the same thing. He will say, all these are all this and that, don't believe and so on and so forth. So the same stuff, what we hear from any spiritual leader or this or that. So let me relax, let me play, let me do something. And then mind simply gives way. But when the mind is powerful, assertive, it says, no, come what may, I'm going to attend the session. Whether it is worthy or not, was useful or not, I will determine later. First, let me listen. When the mind asserts, the body simply, meekly obeys without question. So, although it's necessary for the body to be in good shape, the International Yoga Day is coming, there's so much of halla bulla about yoga, physical exercise. Yes, it's necessary, but much more important is the mind. If you take care of the mind, you can take care of so many other things. So the mind is so important. A couple of examples which I've shared in many other occasions, maybe some of those who have heard me earlier may find the echo of the same thing. How many times in our lives we have felt that, yes, the body is in a very bad shape, we cannot do it, but then something comes to impact the mind. Simply the body rolls up, gets ready, does everything. Maybe again it goes back into the sickness mode, but for a portion of the time, for some time, suddenly it pushed into something exceeding itself, just keeping aside all illness or sickness. I give this example, there are a large number of lady teachers, some of them may be in their 50s. Supposing one day in the morning, you get up, you're having a terrible headache, say that today nothing is possible, I'm going to lie down and take rest the whole day, it's a terrible headache. All of you manage, there is enough in the refrigerator, you can warm up in the hot case or whatever it is, a micro oven, and then take it. Please don't disturb. So you are lying. Of course, till death we cannot be separated from our mobile. Your mobile is by your side. Kring, kring, kring. There is a call coming. Suddenly it's your daughter. Hurry, you are in London? You are calling? Where from are you calling? Mama, I've just reached the New Delhi airport. I'll be home in about an hour or so, but I can spend just 1 hour with you. Then I have to rush for an international conference, and from the conference I will direct go to the airport. Will you be still lying? Throw off all blankets, everything, prepare quickly, whatever your daughter likes, this and that. You're so busy, unbelievably busy. People are staring at you and wonder, this is the same lady who said can't get up from bed, terrible headache, what happened? Daughter comes, there is so much of greeting, hugging, sharing, this and that. 1 hour is virtual heaven there. She goes, again headache, you lie down. Does it not happen? Were you cheating? No. The mind was so powerful, the love and concern for your daughter simply overpowered the body, dismissed all its pleadings, nothing doing. Headache, you come later. Now I'm going to do all that. It happens. It is true. That is the power of the mind. I'll tell you a small funny incident from my own life. One of our monks is a doctor by qualification, but he has been suffering from back pain for eternity. As monks, we always bend down and touch the feet of elders. He does only namaskar. And everyone knows he's a confirmed back pain case, so nobody minds. And his stethoscope also, he has put some extra rubber tubing, etc., so that he can stand and examine without bending. But he's a great football fan. You know, in 1986, a World Cup was conducted in Mexico. All the matches were telecast in India at night, say from 10 o'clock to early morning, 4 o'clock or so. I was also at Belurmat during those days. Where do you get TV and all that? Somewhere one TV in library. When no one is there, one has to see secretly because the elders would not like all that. Myself and that monk. Whole night, entire World Cup, the man whom no one had ever seen sit on the floor. Chair also a special chair with special padding. Sat through the night, saw the whole World Cup sitting on the floor. How was it possible? Simply powers of the mind. So, why I'm telling all that? If only we can organize our mind, that will give you the ability to understand, to look at life, to look at incidents, understand them differently. Probably all of us would be much wiser in a far more stable condition if only we can do that. Ultimately, it's the powers of the mind. And also orientation. Something, somewhere where we can place our reliance, a higher orientation towards life. You know, this journey, this body to mind, what is exactly that? The shift from reliance in the body to mind. See, the animal kingdom is completely body and body, nothing else. Hardly the mind comes into play. Whole thing is body, instinct, and then as human beings, we have the capacity, but a vast majority, 90% and above probably, don't really trouble their mind. They don't exercise at all. They are happy living at the physical level. Enjoyment, happy, here, going there, eating, drinking, so on. So that's life is spent. So again, constant oscillation between sukha and dukkha, misery and happiness. But if you try to make a little shift, you'll find that we can do extraordinary things. You know, there's a very famous place of pilgrimage called Amarnath. I've been there a number of times. Normally it's a 4-hour trekking by foot. Very arduous journey. It's a steep mountain climb. It's in Himalayas. Snow, cold. Even able-bodied people can't go so easily. So they start bravely, but very soon take pony or palanquin, etc., etc. But one time, a group of our monks saw a person with no legs. Absolutely, both the legs were not there from the knee onwards. On crutches, he was climbing that mountain. It was simply, they were stunned. They said, how is it possible? How are you doing it? What he said, Maharaj ji, मैं तो हर साल आता हूँ. I come every year. शिव जी बुलाते हैं मेरे. So how is it possible? Mind. So, this journey from body to mind is actually the journey from gross to subtle. The more and more we progress in the journey, we find that we are able to accommodate, understand, and understand differently, and live a much more positive, holistic life of well-being if we do this journey. I'll give you an example. Supposing you go to a 5-star, 6-star, or 7-star total hotel, the family, the 3 of you or 4 of you, have a very hearty lunch, maybe 10,000 rupees per plate, so 40,000 gone. You come back. You're back, say, by 1:30 or so in your home, and by evening 4:30, again, the stomach is sending signals. Where is my tea? Where's my biscuits? Can you say that? No, you have consumed 10,000 rupees during noon time. For the next 4-5 days, don't ask for any food. Will your stomach listen? Maximum 2 to 3 hours gone. That's all. But supposing you listen to good music, maybe a soul-stirring bhajan, you may not even understand the language. Simply, not only then, for several hours. Quite often, you may not be a singer yourself, but just, you're humming the tune inwardly or even externally. You are thinking it's the correct tune, but listeners think what a horrible way he or she is singing. But you are immersed in that song. If you read a wonderful book, something which is very challenging, for days together, you remember that. Supposing you develop the capacity to meditate deeply, it can be much longer. That can be much longer. So, the real secret of understanding life, the real way to lead a holistic life. Again, I'm saying, we are not going to change the external world. Prakriti is going to bring its own variations of sukha dukkha, the shades, happiness and misery, birth and death, and in all its phases. But can we change ourselves? Let the external world behave. If I can look at it differently, the whole thing will have a different meaning for me. I will understand it differently. So this journey from gross to subtle is so important. This is what would really give a better quality of life. Not better cars, better houses, not better salary, not better pay commissions. But the real thing that would make a difference is our ability to undertake this journey from gross to subtle. Can we do it? That's the secret. Someone who survived the Nazi camp, an Austrian doctor called Viktor Frankl, he wrote a wonderful book, very small book on psychology. He discovered a new system of psychology called logotherapy. He writes, I found even in that concentration camp, only those who had a higher orientation towards life, they alone seemed to survive much better. See, it was trouble for everybody. Physical torture was everybody. Those who were just living at the level of the body perished much quicker. So it's possible. And people have demonstrated extraordinary qualities. Now, I'll tell you something which really happened in that concentration camp. Then you please have your own judgment, whether it was good or bad, whether the person, what he did was worthy or not, whether it was happiness or misery. How would you classify it? Please think for yourself. There was a gentleman. His name was Kolbe something. He's a person of Jewish origin. He was perhaps in Czechoslovakia or somewhere during the German invasion. During his younger days, he was so restless and that kind of a behavior his mother was exasperated. She said, "What are you going to do when you grow up if you are like this?" So one day he went inside his room and really started thinking, what am I going to do when I grow up? Suddenly he had a vision of Mother Mary. I mean, he was not at all spiritual, he had nothing to do with religion, but suddenly it was an unmistakable vision, so to say. She extended to him two bags, so to say. One symbolic, red in color, the other white. One meaning sacrifice, the other meaning pure life. He said, which one do you want? He grabbed both the bags. He became a preacher, a father. Even during Nazi time, he was preaching very vehemently against the Germans. Obviously, he was arrested. He was taken to the concentration camp. In the concentration camp, whenever a prisoner escapes, if they are not able to trace him, they will ask everybody to line up and select at random 10 people and put them in a room. You see, you are going to be in this room, no food, no water, till you die you have to be there. It's much worse than being shot. So 9 people were selected, they simply went. The third person when you are selected, he started crying, weeping. "Oh, what will happen to my wife and children?" As usual, he was given a terrible kick by the army generals there, German army generals. Then suddenly this father stepped up. He straight went to the commander. They write in that book, he was absolutely a weak person, nothing in his hands, but that commander with all the forces at his command, arms and weapons and so on, it seemed was literally shivering when this man went near him. He said, "What do you want?" He said, "I will go in his place." "Are you mad?" "No, I have thought about it. I will go. I am a preacher." He went inside, and for the next 10 days, he gave such consolation to those people. He was the only person to remain alive after 12 days. Then they injected carbolic acid into his body and killed him. Now, how would you rate his life? Was it good? Was it bad? What he did was something extraordinary, or was it madness? So, history is replete with such extraordinary examples. The whole thing is, here is a person very forcefully with open arms welcoming adversity. Adversity is the highest order, death. Can you imagine? I'll give you a lesser example. Maybe not so striking or so powerful, but still very important. Somewhere in that Howrah, that region, there's a rail line where people who want to commit suicide in front of the train usually go because it's a secluded spot. They can easily do their job. Quite often, dead bodies lie there unattended, no one carrying photograph. There is no advice or anything. They do not know how to do or who to perform. One day, a man was found with red hair, and then after a few days, the his mother was a widow for whom this boy was.
5 बजे काम बंद कर देंगे तैयार होके चल जाएंगे
Can you ask the people to mute? Someone is talking. So then, when the mother was informed, obviously she had no one else to look for. What she did, near that rarely visited railway station, small railway station, she put up a small tent-like structure, started a small informal NGO, and she used to sit there every day for a number of hours. Her job was to inform when anyone commits suicide, immediately track down, trace the relatives and inform them. See, meaning out of sorrow, meaning out of suffering, meaning out of extraordinary happenings. So what I'm saying, life is like that. It can throw surprises on anyone. Things have happened to anybody. Can we understand life differently? When we cannot change the external world continue to be like that, can we think of reorganizing ourselves, our own mind, our own pattern of thinking, that is what would lead to really the wellness of the mind. Yes, something happens, no doubt. Look out, try to find out. There are millions of people much worse than us. There are crores and crores of families or individuals who are even much worse off than us. Can we try to do something whereby we can forget our own sorrow, our own loss? Can we do something ennobling whereby we are able to get rid of this? I think we should need to think those lines. Otherwise, we'll be simply possessed by our own sorrow and suffering and only be ending up again with a lot of other such kind of stress-related diseases like diabetic, blood pressure, and so on. Yes, it has been a great loss, something has happened, let it be there. But even within that, is it possible in so many ways? For example, as teachers, principals, etc., all of you have a wonderful God-gifted opportunity. When you get up in the morning, can you think of the wonderful, pure, innocent faces of your school, the children you come across every day, whom you probably do not notice that way? Can you make a special effort? Is it possible to think of them? Can you select a few among them to address their problems, to be someone dear and near to them, to do something to help them? If only we have that willingness, if only we are ready to expand, if only we think of doing something like that, probably we will be able to figure out ever so many ways, ever so many ways. Even the idea of talking to people who have suffered on a regular basis, as far as possible, even that is a great consolation. Every day when you look at the place outside your house, so many hungry mouths waiting to be fed. Can we feed a few people every day on a regular basis, maybe 4 or 5? Somewhere. See, our sorrow, our sufferings will melt away, will dissolve, will slowly go away. Only when we learn to expand, when we learn to feel for others, when we learn to feel the sorrow or suffering of someone else. There is no other way, there is no other shortcut. No, nothing else will give us the tremendous sense of well-being, wellness of the mind, because these are all things which cannot be wished away. They have happened, they will continue to happen. And our life will also go on. We will participate, we will do other things also. But can we do it in a more meaningful way? Is it possible? Can we look at such incidents straight on its face? Can we take a different outlook, different idea of what had happened? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. The instances I have told you, they have done it. I'll give you something more pertinent, something very relevant. See, a couple in Chennai. Something happened some 30 years back. Some 30 years or so back, their only son introduced them to a spiritual way of life and to Ramakrishna Mutt, Chennai. They did not know much about all that. That was the beginning. They started going a little regularly. And this gentleman was in a very big job. He was the director of several companies and so on and so forth. And this boy was their only child. And he was a highly qualified chemical engineer. He was to go abroad in a week or so's time. Suddenly he felt some fever or something like that. They took him to the doctor. The doctor examined him. He said, no, he needs hospitalization. They took him and then they took him to the ICU. After 4 or 5 days, he died of malignant malaria. Obviously, the whole world had crashed. Nothing for them. The only thing of their life gone. Fortunately, they did not sit down like that, completely broken or shattered. Somehow they gathered strength to go to Ramakrishna Mutt, Chennai, and met one of our great Swamis. His name was Swami Ranganathananda. He gave them enormous amount of time, consoled them. He was with them. He handheld them. And slowly they started recovering. Today, they're still alive in the outskirts of Chennai. They live in a small house of their own. This gentleman every day conducts classes to the people in the area, a small group. His wife conducts programs for young children like teaching sutras, songs, etc. Absolutely happy and contented. I telephoned to them to ask how are they faring during pandemic. He said, Maharaj, we did not go out even a single day. Our front door is always closed because just in the opposite house there are COVID cases. But every day, whatever we need is supplied at home by the people with whom we have been in association. Imagine, they did not have to go out a single day. Whatever they want, either some student of the gentleman or the lady, they keep on supplying. They have been at peace for years. They have completely overcome their sorrow and they are really waiting for the final deliverance. Whenever I talk to them, Maharaj, we are ready. We are ready to go anytime. We don't want anything more. We have had everything. How is it possible? Was their grief removed? Was their sin brought back? Was it not an incident? Was it not a terrible blow? It's possible. So somewhere we should develop a different orientation, a different outlook, understand the impermanent nature of life on this earth. Our possessions, our goods, our bank balances, our cars and so many things. See, we are so much attached to all that. Just answer a single question. What happens to all our possessions when we go to sleep? Every day, everything is virtually taken away. If we don't get up from sleep, gone. Only when we wake up, they all come back. So we are completely depossessed during sleep every day. Can anyone assure that, oh, during sleep I was aware my bank balance is perfectly intact. There was no wrong entry by the bank in the passbook. Can anyone say? So that is the nature of life. So let us understand. There will be things, good things will be there. Yes, we need to enjoy. We need to have a good, everything is okay. But deep within, let us understand absolutely unreliable, impermanent nature of this life on earth and orient ourselves a little differently. I'm not saying that we should grow huge matted hair and run away to forest or Himalayas, anything. We can be where we are. Only thing is, let us reorient ourselves, understand life differently, practice certain disciplines, develop certain amount of calmness, a little kind of what they call in Sanskrit samyama, a restraint. Let us not go berserk with our goods and possessions and relationships so on. Then, yes, things would happen. We'll be able to accommodate, absorb, live differently, and then and only then there'll be wellness of the mind. That's what would bring us a stability, the ability to overcome all that and yet lead a balanced life. Because I would like to recommend to you a small discipline. Probably some of you can try. Because you see, the whole thing is a game of the mind, as we've all understood. Is there any way where we can conquer the mind? Because the whole of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra starts with this one sutra which says, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Complete cessation of the vrittis of the mind is called yoga. Now, let us not go that far. Can we practice some discipline? For that, to practice a discipline, we need to be a little more disciplined. We can't get up at 8:30 or 9, just get ready in 5 minutes and rush to school. No. We should try to get up a little early, at least by 5:30 or so in the morning. Because the only time you have for yourself is that little early morning time. After that, the whole day is out of your control. The moment you start preparing till you come back, even beyond that, till you go to bed properly, you have no time for yourself. But that morning, half an hour or 1 hour, if you can steal for yourself, for your well-being, your total wellness, if you can do that, there will be a qualitative change in your life. Then not only that, you get up, wash, get ready, maybe change into neat clothes. Because everything is an association of ideas. When you associate your mind with the idea that I am clean in the body, in the clothes, it brings a sense of well-being to the mind. That's why one of the disciplines prescribed in the Yoga Sutras is Saucha, cleanliness. So, set apart a small place. If you can afford a separate room, it's okay. Otherwise, a separate corner exclusively dedicated for this habit or exercise, which I'm going to tell you. In that corner, just have it little secluded, put some screen or something. There you have some beautiful pictures of maybe gods and goddesses whom you like, or beautiful picture of natural scenario, Himalayas, river flowing, or the sunrise, something that would uplift your mind just by looking at it. Then you have a small seat there. It's preferable to sit on the floor. If not possible, you can sit on the chair. But try to sit erect, because there's a great science behind the sitting erect. Your back, your neck, and the head should be on a straight line. Then you can light a small lamp or a dhoop stick, incense stick. Then you sit quietly. Close your eyes. Because our indriyas always keep going outward, 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 outward. Closing the eyes is trying to go inward, because you can no longer look outward. You are forced to look inward. It's easiest the indriyas to shut. It's much more effort is needed to shut the ear or the nose, etc. You have to put your hands into action. But the eyes can be closed just like that. Then just see where all your mind is trying to wander. Imagine that you are a witness or a sakshi, and you are watching your mind where all it's going. Do not try to stifle it. Do not try to stop it. Let it go to the dirtiest of the place or the best of places, anywhere and everywhere. Just the mind would wander, wander, wander aimlessly. Maybe after 20-25 minutes, you'll have to just get up. But if you do it consistently, after some months, you'll find that the mind is certainly quietening down. If not completely, you will clearly experience a little more calmness of the mind. At that time, imagine, one of the most powerful prayers which our ancients have always advised is the Gayatri Mantra. It contains everything that you need. All power, knowledge, glory, everything would come from that. So let's do it simple. Imagine the sun which is just rising. You are sitting on the river bank. Imagine that all power, knowledge, everything from the sun is entering your heart. Just remain immersed in that feeling for about 5 or 10 minutes. If you can do this for half an hour, 45 minutes every day, you'll find that you'll have the energy or the feeling of wellness for the whole life. And slowly over a period of time, you'll find that you are able to take control of your emotions. Your approach to incidents of life will be much different, much more balanced. And you'll find that you are really able to live much more purposefully and meaningfully. I think that's all I would like to say about the topic chosen for today. In case some of you have questions, we have about 5-7 minutes left. Those of you who are interested may ask some questions, otherwise we just wind down.
Good evening, sir. Actually, while meditating, few people say that concentrate on a particular object, and few people say that we should not think about anything, only concentrate on our breath. There are different perceptions, but how we need to do actually the meditation?
No, don't try to concentrate on the head or in between eyebrows. They're all much more difficult. They have other effects. Heart is the most wonderful place. We always say, he's a person of heart, feelings from heart. Heart is the most wonderful place. So initially, as I said, till the mind quietens, just let it be there. Then anything we can, as I said, the rays of the sun, the power, etc., coming from that can be, or you can think of a beautiful rose flower in your heart, or the idea of a lamp, the flame, not the shape of the flame, just the jyoti, the glow. You can concentrate on that. Or you can concentrate on the form of any god or goddesses whom you worship, whom you like, who is your Ishta Devata. That's also possible. There are several such shades are possible.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Very good evening, sir. Sir, what time is the best to do meditation?
Generally, it's always good to try to meditate when we are a little calm. Because the moment you get up after some time, the whole day you are involved in so many activities, the mind also becomes extremely active and restless. So best time is early morning time. When you're relatively calm, before you begin your activities, you have had a good night's rest. The body is also in some good condition. So that's probably the best time for meditation. Early morning, say between 4 to 6, 6:30.
Thank you, sir.
Namaste, Guruji. Sir, I have a doubt, sir. Actually, I've been practicing this meditation from a long time. But then I had one particular feeling, sir, like I'm being dragged somewhere, and the fear, sudden tremors into my body. I'm just getting away.
Oh.
So when I consulted one Guruji, he was like, you did not get trained properly, and you do not know the correct procedure, sir. So is there really some correct procedure of that meditation, how we do it and how do we concentrate? I see one bright light, that's all, nothing I see.
There are different schools, there are different traditions. It's always good to go to a particular tradition and learn properly. That's the best way. Learning it from here and there, from books, etc., may not be very useful. Quite often, because of wrong concentration, etc., can create some problems. So best is, as I said today, probably you can try this for some time and then you can contact me if necessary. We can take it forward. Otherwise, if you are given to prayer, if you have your own idea of any god or goddesses, prayer is extremely safe and anyone can pray. Even prayer would bring you a deep sense of well-being in your heart, and you will feel much better if you pray intensely for say some half an hour or so every day. Prayer is also good, but meditation for the time being you can try the way as suggested. Later on we can even you can contact me and I'll be able to tell you something.
Thank you so much, sir.
The whole discussion is veering around meditation. Yes, so we have completely understood the idea of wellness, etc. That's over. There are no questions on that front.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, regarding as you have said, make a special effort, willingness to expand and learn to expand. We should be given the opportunities or the privileges or the orientation according to the ages, because now technology, as per this technology, we have to teach students.
Yes.
Because present trend, everyone is about computers, but one who is about 50 and all, learning is very difficult. How is it possible for us to learn this present trend of technology, sir?
See, to the extent it is necessary, you should try all that. What is absolutely essential? Supposing it's a matter of absolute necessity for your job, unless you learn, you'll not be able to continue in the job.
Yes.
That very, very necessity, dire necessity would drive you. Even people at the age of 70, 80 learn. So you don't have to become an extraordinary expert. To the extent that is necessary for your job, that much you learn. That shouldn't be difficult at all. Even online, through so many sources you can learn, that's not difficult. You can certainly do it.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, thank you, sir.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Yes.
Actually, that was a very good discourse, I would say. You were talking about from gross to subtle. This sounds really good and it is valid. But in the process of being in some kind of high profile job or any kind of job, somewhere there is a need for validation and acceptance in the workplace.
Yeah.
And in that course, if we try to be very subtle, I think, you are left behind the crowd. Though we directly don't participate in the rat race, we are dragged into it. And the subtleness will push us aside from the main validation process to sustain ourselves. May I know what you have to say about this?
I see the point is, we should set the priorities of our life very clearly. If you want a total holistic life, or you're only interested in career, you may not be in the rat race, but don't want to be left behind. I should be in the forefront. That would not work. One has to understand the priorities of life. So if you understand the priorities of life, you'll be able to balance. See, because these are all things which you do alone, yourself. There's nothing for you to share with people in the work spot. In fact, if you're more calm and if you're able to understand and appreciate things differently, many would come to you for guidance. You'll ask, how are you able to do it? We are not able to do it. You will be a kind of friend, philosopher, guide for many of them. Let them, they will not, cannot overtake you in that sense. If you're really calm and composed, and if that's your way, definitely you have a head start over others. The more and more you progress in that direction, your understanding will be very, very different. You'll know that there is no end to this. Doesn't matter. Let me be a step back. So what? I'm one step back there. I'm 10 steps ahead elsewhere. See, life you have to balance out. You have to understand what is holistic life, taking life as a whole. These are my priorities. Is it important to live a very meaningful life, or is it important only to have promotions, posts, etc. at regular times? So you have to decide. The priorities of your life, you have to decide. And once you taste a little success in this direction, you'll find that people simply coming to you for direction, for help. You will really be the leader of your group then. You will not be left behind at all.
Thank you, Swamiji, for the convincing answer. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Yeah. Be bold.
Thank you.
Live for your conviction. That's very important.
Good evening, Swamiji.
Yes.
How to control stress and overthinking and anger management? Please give me some suggestions.
Yeah, you see, the small kind of informal meditation which I told you would definitely help you greatly. What I told you during the talk today, you practice that for a few months, you'll find that you are definitely able to control anger better. Anger is often because you're denied something, you're not able to get something, that causes that. When you understand life differently, definitely that anger will not be there. It will reduce. So the practice which I gave you, although it is simple, please try it for a few months. You find that your anger, etc., are definitely reducing, and you're able to take control of yourself much better. And then, as another exercise, apart from that, I would say that always take a 30-second or 15-second pause before you react to anything. Make it a habit. Supposing there is something which is exciting you, which is trying to create anger in you. Supposing you develop this habit of a 15-second gap before we react. Suddenly you find that in the 15 seconds, the anger would go away to lose its meaning. So can you develop this technique? It's much more difficult, but more important and more reliable is a small, simple meditation kind of technique which I told you.
Thank you so much.
Namaste, Swamiji. This is Anushila from Kompally Unison School. Actually, I'm being practicing this your meditation from past many years. Even in my school also, they'll say, "Ma'am, how can you manage without like getting anger and all?"
Yes.
Nowadays, from past 1 year, Swamiji, I'm getting little annoyed with the students because now present scenario, the teachers are facing this problem. Like they are like deviated from the my worry is how can I bring my students to the right path? This is my worry. I'm not like worrying about me or my family, because these are the present students are the next tomorrow's like citizen. Many students are like sidetracked. Okay, how can we get them like we are even practice meditation also slowly, but my worry is how can we bring them to a right path?
So there were two things, one about yourself and then about students. As far as you are concerned, I think you are not meditating properly. If necessary, you must do clearly, and maybe you can increase it slightly because you are sitting at home and all those things. Just extra time, extra calmness is not giving you that kind of advantage. You should use it to your advantage, and then probably you will get it back. You should look at the way you are meditating again, whether you're doing it properly. And if it's okay, you can slightly increase the time, and that should come back. And also a little more understanding, as I said, the quality, the ability to do this discrimination, which are what's happening around. Am I different? Why should I be like this? It's for everyone. Where is the justification for me to get irritated? Just analyze yourself, self analysis. That would help you greatly. And regarding students, of course, all are in the same boat, all are suffering. So, in the classes from your school, etc., instead of only spending time on academics, can they give them little different, something extra? For example, a module from our own program, Awaken Citizen program. That is a great booster to the children, to their confidence, to their problems, difficulties. We find in many schools this is working like miracle. See, because every student you cannot address individually. Problems are different for different students. So as a whole, supposing you have weekly once or once in 10 days, one period of ACP, you'll find that students responding remarkably, and that's the best solution I can offer for children.
Swamiji, just sorry for, because we are practicing this one, because our teachers, even myself also attended this ACP program.
Yeah.
These modules we are doing for 7 and 8. Only my worry is for higher students. We are taking even life skills classes.
Up to class 7, 8, 9, you can certainly do for 3 years.
Yes.
For higher classes, also selective modules you can do. It's equally valid from them. See,
Okay.
other introductory modules, they'll be extremely useful even for higher class students.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji. Yeah.
Yes. Anything else?
Sunir ma'am, I would like you to conclude the session.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heart is the place where a beautiful thought emanates and spreads a ray of hope, Jyoti, a light which enlightens your path and others too. Let us be kinder to one another. Adversities can be turned into opportunities. We must think about life as a larger picture. Wow. Beautiful, Swami. That was what a lovely takeaway. That's the biggest learning we are going to take away from today's webinar and from you. My humble pranams and gratitude to Swamiji for having enlightened us here today. We will certainly cherish your noble thoughts for long times to come. Thank you, dear principals, teachers, parents, and students for joining us today. I hope you will certainly be able to apply learnings from today's webinar in your life and cherish it for long times to come. Pranam, Swamiji.
Thank you. So,